She hugged her trembling pet close, their breaths fogging up in the frozen air. She was ready to die, but the universe wasn't done with her yet. The sky above the frozen world was dark and silent. No stars were shining, just thick clouds and falling snow. The cold was everywhere inside the bones, inside the heart, inside hope itself. Zara sat near the broken piece of her crashed shuttle. The metal was torn and blackened. The lights were dead. Only the soft sound of snowflakes touching the surface could be heard. And her breathing, and Milo, her little furry pet, was shaking in her arms. He had 4 legs, 2 tails, and glowing blue eyes. She hugged him tight, covering him with what was left of her thermal blanket. The blanket was thin and torn, but it was all she had. "I'm sorry, Milo," she whispered in her alien tongue. "There's no help coming." Her fingers were numb. Her skin was turning pale blue from the cold. She had sent a signal 3 days ago. No one answered. No ships passed above, no rescue team, no voice. She knew this place. A dead moon near the outer ring. Far from any station or trade path, nobody cared about this place. And no one cared about her. Zara closed her eyes. She had cried all her tears on the first night. Now she just wanted to sleep, sleep and forget the pain. Sleep and leave this cold world behind. Milo made a soft sound, a kind of whimper. She smiled, weak and tired. "Don't be scared," she said. "We'll sleep together." Her heartbeat slowed. She could no longer feel her legs. A sharp wind blew, cutting across the icy plain like a blade. But she was too tired to feel it. Suddenly, something changed. A red light flashed through the clouds above. It wasn't lightning. It was a flare, a signal. Zara opened her eyes, confused. Her body wanted to rest, but her eyes were wide. The flare moved, slowly falling from the sky. It wasn't far. Milo jumped up and barked, his body still weak but his spirit alive. Zara forced herself to sit up. She looked into the darkness, heart pounding. Could it be help? She pulled herself to her feet, almost falling. She carried Milo, walking 1 step at a time. Each step was heavy, each breath hurt. Then she heard something new. Footsteps, crunching softly over the snow. Not hers, not Milo's. Zara froze. She held her breath. Her eyes searched the shadows. From behind a frozen rock formation, a tall figure appeared, covered in dark armor. With a helmet hiding its face, the figure moved slowly, carefully, like it didn't want to scare her. Zara took a step back, slipping slightly. Milo growled, a small sound, warning but weak. The figure stopped, raised both hands to show peace. Then it took off the helmet. Zara gasped. She had never seen a creature like this before. He had no fur, just smooth pinkish skin, 2 eyes, sharp and focused, and a strange kindness in them. A human. She had heard stories. Some called them monsters, others called them legends, but she had never met one, not until now. The human slowly walked toward her and pulled something from his back. A warm survival pack, glowing with heat. He placed it gently on the ground between them, then pointed to it, then to her, then to Milo. Zara didn't understand his words, but she understood the message. He was here to help. Her legs gave up, and she fell to her knees, not because of fear, but because of relief. Warmth filled her face for the first time in days. She clutched Milo and looked up at the man. "Why?" she whispered. "Why would a human help me?" The human didn't answer. He simply wrapped a second thermal sheet around her shoulders. He pointed to the distance. A soft blue light was glowing there. Maybe a camp. Maybe safety. Zara nodded. With the last bit of strength, she stood. The human gently helped her walk. Step by step, across the snow. Behind them, the cold wind screamed. But in front of them, there was light. Zara looked at the strange creature beside her. She didn't know his name. She didn't know if he was a friend. But for now, he was all she had. And for the first time in 3 days, she believed she might live. He didn't speak her language. He didn't smile. But when she looked into his eyes, she saw something she hadn't seen in days. Hope. The snowstorm grew stronger behind them. Sharp winds screamed like wild beasts in the night. But Zara kept moving, her legs shaking, her hands frozen. The human walked beside her, silent but steady. She didn't know who he was. She didn't know where he came from, but somehow, his presence made the cold feel less dangerous. He stopped near a wall of ice and pressed something on his wrist. A low hum echoed as a hidden door appeared in the cliffside. It opened with a hiss, revealing a narrow tunnel lit by faint blue lights. Zara stared in shock. This wasn't a cave, it was a shelter. Buried under the ice, invisible from the outside. The human motioned for her to follow. She hesitated, hugging Milo close. What if it was a trap? What if he wasn't really helping her? But then she looked back. The blizzard had swallowed her crashed shuttle. There was nothing left, no reason to go back. She stepped into the tunnel. It was warmer inside. Still cold, but bearable. The human walked ahead and opened a second door. Warm air touched her face, and soft yellow lights lit the room. It was a survival bunker, small but fully stocked. Strange human machines lined the walls. A small fire burned in the center, protected by glass. There were 2 chairs, a table, and something that looked like a sleeping pod. Zara's body collapsed. Near the fire, Milo curled up beside her, finally safe. The human placed a thermal patch on her arm and gave her a packet of warm food. It smelled strange but tasted better than anything she'd eaten in days. Still, she didn't let her guard down. Her eyes followed him as he moved around the room. He checked devices, pressed buttons, and finally removed his heavy armor. Underneath, he wore a tight black suit with silver lines. His face was young but tired, his eyes sharp but haunted. He sat across from her, pulled out a small screen, and drew something with his finger. A picture appeared, a star map. He pointed to one red circle, then to another far away. Zara understood. They were far, very far from any known system. No one was coming for them. She pointed to herself, then made a motion like crashing. The human nodded. Then he pointed to himself and drew a falling ship. He too had crashed here. Zara leaned forward, curious. She pointed at him and raised an eyebrow. "Name," she said softly. The human tapped his chest and said, "Jace." "Jace," she repeated. He gave a small nod, then pointed to her. "Zara," she answered. He smiled for the first time, a quick, soft smile, not fake, not cold. Real. For a moment, she felt safe. But then, something caught her eye, behind Jace on the wall. There was a shelf with strange objects. Zara stood slowly and walked to it. She touched a metallic ring, a claw. And then, a thin blue scarf, covered in dust. She froze. Her breath caught in her throat. She knew that scarf. It belonged to her brother. He went missing last cycle. Disappeared during a space patrol near the outer rim. They said he died in a pirate ambush. But his scarf was here, in this human's shelter. Zara's heart pounded. She turned toward Jace, her hands shaking. Her voice was low and cold. "Where did you get this?" Jace looked confused at first, then serious. He stood and stepped closer. He pointed to the scarf, then shook his head. He pressed his palms together and bowed slightly, apology. Maybe regret. Zara didn't trust him now. Not fully. He had saved her, yes. But the scarf, this proof, meant he knew more than he was saying. Milo growled softly, feeling the tension. Zara stared at the human. He stared back, calm but unreadable. They were no longer just strangers. They were connected by something darker, a mystery, a truth hiding in the shadows. Zara stepped back, clutching the scarf. She didn't know what to believe. But one thing was clear. This human, Jace, was not just a survivor. He had secrets, and one of those secrets might have killed her brother. He gave her warmth, he gave her safety, but what if he was also the reason she had lost everything? Zara didn't sleep that night. The fire inside the bunker was warm, but her thoughts were cold. Milo slept peacefully, his little chest rising and falling in rhythm, but Zara sat awake, holding the blue scarf in her hands. Her brother's scent was gone. Only dust and frozen air remained. But she remembered it clearly, how he wrapped it around her neck when they played in the crystal gardens of Tula. He was her protector, her best friend, and now, his only memory rested on a human's wall. Jace was in the far corner of the shelter, working on a broken transmitter. He didn't look at her, didn't speak, just kept repairing wires, frowning when something sparked or failed. Zara stood and walked slowly around the room. It was quiet, too quiet. She watched the shadows dance on the metallic walls. Then her eyes found something else, a small door at the back of the shelter, half hidden behind storage crates. She glanced at Jace. He was still busy. Without a sound, she pushed the crates aside and opened the door. A narrow staircase led downward. Dark, cold, quiet. She took a torch from the wall and stepped down. Milo followed, his ears up, alert. The air grew colder as she moved deeper. Frost lined the walls. At the bottom was another door, sealed with a strange alien code, not human. Tech. She placed her hand on the surface, and the door hissed open. Inside was a room small, round and filled with trophies. Weapons from different planets, armor, broken helmets, strange skulls, and in the center, a table full of datapads. Zara picked one up and tapped the screen. It blinked to life. A log appeared, written in basic human language. She read slowly, each word hitting her like a stone. Subject 17. Tall, strong, highly resistant to cold. Attempted escape. Terminated by accident. Collected remains stored. She dropped the pad, breathing heavily. Her hands were shaking. She picked up another. Log. Alien patrol intercepted. One survivor escaped. We marked the rest for observation. Evidence destroyed. One survivor. That could have been her brother. Zara backed away, her heart pounding. This wasn't just a shelter. This was a hunting base. Zara. A voice echoed behind her. She spun around. Jace stood at the doorway. His face was calm, unreadable, but his eyes were sad. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. He knew she had seen everything. Is this what you do? She asked quietly. Her voice cracked. You collect the dead. Jace stepped into the room slowly. No, he said softly. He pointed at the logs and shook his head. Not me, not mine. He tapped his chest, then crossed his arms in an X. No hunter, no killer. Zara didn't move. Her eyes burned with tears. Then why is my brother's scarf here? She asked. Jace walked over and pointed to a metal crate in the corner. He opened it, revealing broken weapons, some with her people's symbols. Then he pulled out a data drive. He handed it to her and pointed up. Watch, he said. They climbed back to the surface. Jace connected the drive to a small projector. A video played, grainy and flickering. It showed a battle, blurry shapes running across snow, laser fire in the distance. One alien figure helped a wounded human onto a sled. That alien wore the same blue scarf. Zara stepped closer. It was her brother. He wasn't killed by humans. He saved one. The video ended with static. Jace turned to her and said quietly, Your brother saved me. Zara froze. Everything inside her changed in that moment. Her anger melted into silence. Her fear turned into confusion. Her eyes filled with new tears, this time not of pain, but of understanding. The man she almost hated was alive because of her brother. She sat down slowly, Milo curling beside her. Jace picked up a new thermal sheet and covered her shoulders. He didn't speak again. He just sat near the fire, fixing the broken transmitter. Now Zara knew one thing for sure. This place had many secrets. And this human, this Jace, was not just a survivor. He was part of something bigger, something dangerous, something hidden, something buried under the ice. Asterisk trust is not given. It is earned, and sometimes it is the only thing standing between life and death. The fire crackled softly in the bunker. The storm outside had calmed, but inside, tension hung like thick smoke. Zara sat across from Jace, watching his every move. Her hands rested on the scarf, now folded carefully in her lap. She no longer saw him as just a stranger. He was part of her brother's story, a living piece of a past she thought was lost. But that didn't make him safe. And it didn't make him innocent. Jace looked up from the transmitter and spoke. His words were slow, broken, mixed with hand gestures. But Zara understood enough. "You leave," he said, pointing to the map on the wall. "Bad people, come back." He pointed at himself, then at the icy sky. "Enemy to them, help to you." Zara narrowed her eyes. "Who are they?" she asked. He tapped the table, then drew a symbol on the metal surface with his finger, a sharp claw inside a red circle. Zara gasped. She knew that symbol. It belonged to the Collector, a powerful group that roamed space, hunting rare creatures, stealing from small planets. They didn't kill for war, they killed for profit. "Why are they coming back?" she asked. Jace picked up a small black cube and pressed a button. A hologram appeared. It showed a large alien ship, black, spiked, and surrounded by red drones. He pointed to it. "Base ship," he said. "They come every 7 cycles." He held up 7 fingers. "Take, trap, test." Zara's stomach turned. She looked around the bunker, the weapons, the logs, the trophies. None of them were Jace's. They belonged to the Collector. This was once their outpost. "But why are you here?" she asked. Jace didn't answer right away. He stared into the fire for a moment, then spoke softly. "I was soldier," he said. "Came with team. Mission was stop them." He pointed to his chest. "Only one left." Zara looked down at her hands. Her mind raced with questions. Her heart pulled in 2 directions, doubt and belief. "So what now?" she asked. Jace stood up and walked to a locked metal crate. He opened it and pulled out a small silver device. It pulsed with blue light. "Beacon," he said. "Send signal. Earth, come, help us." Zara's eyes widened. Humans, real human forces could come here. She wasn't sure if that was a rescue or another danger. "What do you need from me?" she asked. Jace looked her in the eyes. "Your trust," he said. "And your help." Zara stood slowly, her body still sore from days in the cold. She walked to the table, looked at the map, and then looked at him. "I'll help you," she said. "But if you lie to me again," she pulled her knife from her boot and held it up. "I won't hesitate." Jace didn't flinch. He simply nodded. He understood. Together, they worked through the night. They repaired the beacon, activated old defense systems. Zara showed him how to use her people's ice crystals for power. Jace taught her how to handle a human blaster. Enemies once, now standing side by side, not friends yet, but not alone anymore. Hours passed, and the beacon was ready. Jace stepped outside into the cold, raised it high, and pressed the button. A bright blue pulse shot into the sky. The signal was out. Now they could only wait. Zara looked up at the stars. Milo stood beside her, tail flicking nervously. Jace joined them. He didn't speak, but his hand rested near his weapon. He was ready for whatever came next. And then the sky answered. Not with words, not with a message, but with red lights, moving slowly across the clouds. Zara's eyes widened. It wasn't Earth. It wasn't rescue. The Collector had returned, and they weren't alone. Asterisk. Some storms come from the sky, others rise from inside you. Zara was about to face both. The red lights in the sky multiplied. They blinked slowly like blinking eyes watching from above. Zara stood frozen. Jace pulled her back into the bunker and sealed the door. "Too fast," he said, breathing heavily. "They came too fast." Milo growled softly, his ears twitching. Even he could sense it. Something evil was coming. Zara paced the room. Her heart beat like a war drum. She looked at Jace. "We can't hide," she said. "They'll find us." Jace nodded. He walked to a dark panel on the floor and pulled it open. Inside was a frozen tunnel leading deeper into the ice. At the end of that tunnel, an old scout ship. "Half broken, but maybe still able to fly. We fix it fast," Jace said. "We run." They packed quickly. Food, weapons, fuel cells, anything they could carry. Zara wore her brother's scarf-like armor. It reminded her she had to survive, not just for herself, but for him too. The tunnel was narrow and cold. their breath turned to mist with every step. The deeper they went, the more ice covered the walls, until finally they reached it. The scout ship was buried in a giant cave of frozen rock. Its hull was cracked, one wing bent, but the core still glowed faintly. There was hope. Jace opened the hatch. Inside, it was dark and dusty. He sat at the pilot seat, tapping buttons. The ship coughed, blinked, then died. Zara placed her hand on the energy port. Her skin glowed softly blue light. Jace stared, surprised. "You have power," he said quietly. Zara nodded. "Crystal blood," she whispered. "It runs through my people." She focused. Her hands pressed the core, and the ship came to life. The engines hummed, lights flickered, and the cold air grew warmer. Jace grinned for the first time in hours. Milo barked in excitement, but the moment was short. A loud thud shook the cave, then another. Snow and ice cracked above them. "They found us," Jace said. Zara ran to the control panel and scanned the sensors. 3 red drones were digging through the ice. One more powerful signal moved slowly above. The Collector's mothership. "We have one chance," Jace said. "We fly now or die here." Zara didn't answer. She went outside and placed her hands on the ice wall. She closed her eyes. The crystals under her skin lit up. Blue light crawled across the walls like veins. The cave shook, but the ice didn't break. It bent, moved, shaped itself around the ship, forming a protective shell. Jace watched, amazed. "You control the ice," he whispered. Zara opened her eyes, breathing heavily. "My brother taught me," she said, "but I never believed it was real." Outside, the drones broke through the top layer of the cave, red eyes glowing, scanning, ready to strike. Jace jumped into the pilot's seat. Zara joined him. Milo sat between them. Ready, the engines roared, the ice cracked, and the scout ship blasted upward, through stone, through snow, through fire. The red drones chased them, firing energy blasts. Jace dodged left and right. Zara sat at the weapon console, her hands trembling but steady when it mattered. She locked onto the lead drone and fired. Boom! The drone exploded in a flash of red. Another drone hit the wing. Alarms screamed. Milo barked, warning them as the ship tilted. "We can't outrun the mothership," Zara shouted. "We need a new plan." Jace's eyes narrowed. "There's a fuel station on the far side of this moon," he said. "Old, but maybe it has a jump gate." Zara nodded. "Then we make our stand there." The storm outside was endless. They thought they were escaping, but they flew straight into the lion's mouth. And now, the only way out was to fight. The stars disappeared, all light faded, as Jace's ship was pulled into a giant black shadow in space. The Collector's mothership. It didn't fire, it didn't chase. It simply opened its doors and dragged them in. Like a spider welcoming prey, Zara screamed as the ship lost power. The engines died. The lights went dark. Milo barked wildly, scratching at the floor. They were caught. Jace tried everything, switches, levers, codes. Nothing worked. "We've been hacked," he muttered. They shut everything down. The ship settled inside a large hangar bay. Cold metal claws clamped around the wings, locking them in place. The exit hatch burst open with a hiss. Gas sprayed in, sweet and heavy. Zara's vision blurred. Milo collapsed. Jace fell to his knees. Darkness swallowed them. She woke up inside a cage, not alone. Hundreds of cages surrounded her, each one holding a different creature. Some looked like her, others were strange glowing eyes. Wings, horns, even liquid bodies. The air was heavy with silence and fear. Zara stood slowly, her body sore. Milo lay beside her, breathing, alive. Jace was in the next cage, bruised but awake. He looked at her and said just one word, "Arena," then. The floor below them moved. Their cages rose slowly, like pieces on a stage. Above them, thousands of watching eyes, aliens, machines, drones, all cheering, laughing, screaming, and at the center, sitting on a throne of gold and bones, was the Collector, tall, wrapped in red robes, face hidden behind a mask made of mirrors. His voice echoed across the arena. "Welcome, rare ones," he said. "You are now part of the greatest show in the galaxy." Zara clenched her fists. She was not a show. She was not a prize. She was a survivor. The cages dropped them into the arena floor, a flat field surrounded by energy walls. Weapons scattered across the ground. Jace looked at her and whispered, "No rules, just survive." A gate opened, and a giant beast stepped out. 3 eyes, metal claws, chains hanging from its neck. It roared, shaking the walls. Zara grabbed the staff from the ground. Jace took a plasma blade. Milo stood in front of them, growling with fire in his eyes. The fight began. Zara dodged the beast's claws, rolled under its legs, and struck from behind. Jace cut the chains. Causing sparks to fly, Milo jumped on. Its back, biting hard, but the beast wouldn't fall. Zara's hands began to glow again. Her skin lit with blue energy. She shouted. Slamming her palm into the ground, ice exploded upward, trapping the beast's legs. Jace sliced through its neck, and the beast fell. The crowd roared. The collector clapped slowly. "Beautiful," he said. "Now let's see how you do without weapons." More gates opened. This time, not beasts, other prisoners. Forced to fight or die, Zara stepped back, shaking her head. "We can't. They're like us." But the others attacked, driven by fear. One swung a metal rod at Jace. He blocked, but didn't strike back. "Enough!" Zara screamed. She raised her hands, ice shot from the ground. Forming a barrier between them, the others paused. Confused, Jace raised his voice. "We don't have to fight each other. We fight him." He pointed to the collector. A moment of silence. Then one alien stepped forward, then another, then more. They dropped their weapons, together. They turned to face the throne. The collector stood. "Fools," he said. "You think you can break the system?" Zara raised her staff. "No," she said. "We're going to shatter it." Lights flickered. Alarms rang. Suddenly, a small figure ran across the control deck. Milo. He had escaped earlier and was now at the command panel. He pressed buttons randomly, but one of them worked. The energy walls dropped. Doors opened. Chaos exploded. Zara, Jace, and the others rushed out. Fighting guards, dodging blasts, prisoners broke free. The arena turned into a war zone. Zara looked at Jace. "This is our chance." He nodded. "Let's burn this place down." But the storm within them, rage, fear, fire was stronger. They weren't just running anymore. They were fighting. And the collector had just made a mistake. They had left 2 survivors alive, asterisk. Not all endings are quiet. Some end in fire, in screams, and in hope. Zara never planned to become a symbol. But on that day, she became a spark that lit the stars. Alarms screamed across the collector's mothership. Prisoners were running. "Free!" Guards shouted in different alien languages. Doors slammed. Sparks flew. Flames rose from broken systems. Zara led the charge. Her scarf flowing behind her like a flag. Jace fought beside her, his blade glowing bright. Milo ran ahead, disabling cameras and biting wires. They were not just survivors anymore. They were rebels. Zara stopped at the edge of the control core. The collector stood at the center, his red robe torn, his mask cracked. "You ruined my stage," he hissed. "You're nothing." She stepped forward. "I'm the one you failed to break." The collector raised his hand. A wave of drones flew toward her, but this time she was ready. Zara slammed her palms on the floor. Blue light exploded from her skin. The air turned cold. Ice burst across the room, freezing the machines mid-air. Jace threw a device toward the collector, an EMP bomb. It landed near his feet. Boom! Electric sparks flew in every direction. The throne exploded, throwing the collector backward. He crashed against the wall. Gasping, Zara stood over him. She pulled off his mask. Behind it was not a god, not a monster, just an old, tired alien with greedy eyes, empty, weak, human. "Wanted to collect beauty," he whispered. "You destroyed it." "No," she replied. I set it free. She turned away. The others gathered behind her. Jace took control of the ship's core. He connected it to the old jump gate system. We can't take everyone in one ship, he said. But we can open a path, send them all home. Zara placed her hand on the core. Her energy powered the gate, one by one. The stolen, the trapped. The forgotten escaped. To their homes, to their stars. The collector's ship shook violently. Systems were collapsing. Jace looked at Zara. We need to go. She nodded, but before leaving, she carved something into the floor with her ice blade. A mark, a symbol, her brother's name. He wasn't forgotten. He had started all of this. She just finished it. Jace, Zara, and Milo reached the hangar. The same scout ship waited, damaged but running. They launched into space as the collector's mothership fell apart behind them. A silent explosion lit up the dark sky. As they drifted into orbit, stars blinked gently above. Zara sat quietly, her eyes fixed on the horizon. Jace handed her a warm drink. You okay? He asked. She smiled, tired but strong. Yes, she said, for the first time. Milo curled up at their feet. The stars stretched out in every direction, each one a new story. A new home, a new chance. Zara leaned back in her seat, not a prisoner, not a lost girl, but a fighter. And as the ship sailed into the stars, she whispered to the wind, "This time, I choose where we go.